Hello everyone and welcome to today's platform. The final video of today is about the lack of ability to survive in a world full of Grayson Dixons, Sarah Trotta's, Mona Vans, and any other influencer or wannabe influencer or the youth of the college generation. It is by far the most disgraceful, disgusting, violent, self-righteous, opinionated, but behind it, there's no education. And what message I'm receiving is that there's smiles on their faces. They're smiling at what I just said. They're smiling at the fact that you decided to be TRANY, although it's clear you're not. You might have some feminine characteristics, but you're a good person operating on a level of damaged incoming messages, all brought to you by the detriment of our society, the low class of what the Democrats are fueling for an agenda. I don't know if you can really understand or comprehend that you don't actually believe the things that you're saying. If you were born in 1956, you would never stand for any of this that's going on in the world today. You don't stand for inclusivity and woke culture. You stand for family values. And Kamala Harris and Ketanji Brown, both black-skinned women, with Jasmine Crockett, black-skinned women, and a redhead named a redheaded slut, disgrace themselves by telling us that Kim Kardashian was the style of woman that we were supposed to live into. Where they then created clone effects of women just like her to terrorize all of us, while the worst of the worst would never be able to keep up with a Kim Kardashian like Grace Dixon and Sarah Trotta. So they had to figure out a way to destroy the people who they proclaim to like at their job so that they could feel in control, because they have such low self-esteem and they are so disloving of themselves. They hate themselves so badly. They have to figure out a way in their existence to feel something because they're so dead inside. So they finagle of ways to be abusive, and then they switch it and say, I'm a good person. But the game doesn't play like it used to. It's a clear game of you being mentally ill. And the lack of ability for those of you who aren't strong enough to bypass the Hollywood smile or the intent, it's intense. If you're around a Sarah Trotta or a Grace Dixon out of Sea Palms, it's intense to be around these people. You have to really have a strong backbone not to strangle them, not to scream and yell at them, because they do anything they can to antagonize you, and they do it with a smile on their precious little faces. Then they walk off with a little kick and say, have a great night. The world we currently live in is no longer the old world. It's a new world of horror. It's like watching a Saw movie where Sarah Trotta is the victim of Saw. She's the one that is in the game of trying to get out of the game and is so willing to throw Grace Dixon and Grayson Dixon under the bus, and the other girl who I cannot remember what her name is because she's that insignificant. That's her forte, is to get you to forget who she is so she can continue playing her game with her big fat thunder thighs and her horrible personality, because there's no way anybody would date any of these people. These people on the internet spend all of their time figuring out ways to bamboozle you into submission with a Hollywood smile, with a clean eat where they literally take parquet and try to destroy a company, instead of taking a look at the ingredients themselves that are supposedly cancer causing, or whatever it is about your eat clean nonsense that you're trying to create, instead of going to the ingredients itself and allowing Parkay to recreate their recipe, as I do recall, Parkay, the great commercial in marketing that you used to do, I can't even show a person not from America. She's from a third world country called Iran. Remember when the butter can would say Parkay and the woman was in the kitchen whispering and it would say Parkay? A reason to go out and buy Parkay. However, instead of taking a look at the ingredients, which would take a lot more work, and singling out another brand that's been around for a long time, by the way, she goes for the brand itself with a bunch of entitled, self-righteous women, where she literally sends a glamour shot out into her Facebook, Instagram story to tell you how powerful she is, when her so-called fiance is a marketing personality. That would be marketing 101. You don't try to lose your family's money by being self-righteous and selfish. That's like that's a no-brainer. So I want to bring into attention the inability to deal with these people on a human level, because they don't have any ability to deal with themselves on a human level. They literally walk in a room, take a shit on the floor, and think that's normal behavior because they don't care what people think. They don't care what people think about them abusing people. They don't care what people think about them lying to your face. They don't care what people think about anything. These people don't care what people think about anything, to the point where they're wearing bikinis. They're wearing bikinis to business meetings. And then provocatively eating fruit while they're dancing in front of professionals. The problem with the world today is you're not willing to call out the bad people for doing bad things, such as what Kamala Harris is doing to you. You do know that she's putting you into a cult. That's what it looks like to create a cult, is that all that smiling and waving and shit, all of that is a cult. Donald Trump is not a cult. I don't know where you come up with that, but that's because you know that you're creating a cult. So then you try to bring the attention over to the person who's actually presidential material. So while the lowest of the low are doing violent, weird behavior because they are mentally ill, people like Daniel welcome the behavior because he's participating in the circuit. So instead of running a business like a real professional or acting like a professional in a business, they just instead figure out ways to antagonize people on a daily basis so that they can make their day interesting. And that's what each influencer has taught their followers. Subconsciously, of course. Who, me? Yeah, you. Not sure what you think and why you would think that we need to take a look at your fit check when you're not in good shape. Or why we need to watch you in your daily routine. What about that do you think that we'd be interested in? That's because you're self-righteous and egotistical, but you don't even know what that means. So just letting all of you know who are real true Americans, you're dealing with some weird ass shit in your own element. However, they're worse than you and you're still pretty bad. And it's important to be aware that the aliens are roaming the property and using the worst of the worst, such as Grayson Dixon, to take your guts out, and then he's eating them. He's eating Sarah Trotta's guts, and she's saying, ooh, I like it. He does that to his sister's clit, too. Ooh, did I hurt your feelings?